I entered into a competition to try and write a constitution for sovereign individuals, essentially in the digital age. And I spent 7 days trying to craft this constitution and come up with something that I thought would hold the test of time. I used the Magna Carta, the U.S. Constitution, to really draw from and try and create something that would represent a constitution for sovereign individuals in our increasingly digital world. So, without further ado, I'm going to read the final thing I came up with, and I hope you guys enjoy. So let me share my screen, and we'll get into it. A Declaration for the Mass Adoption of Sovereign Individuals. Introduction. This Constitution serves as a foundational instrument for safeguarding individual freedom and fostering local autonomy, particularly for those who aspire to individual sovereignty. Recognizing that mere fiat edicts cannot deter the forces of centralization, this document emphasizes the alignment of incentives as a bulwark against corruption and the usurpation of power. Crafted for those who envision a world guided by just rules rather than rulers, this Constitution aims to enshrine the core principles of independence, self-determination, and consensual governance. Preamble. We, the sovereign individuals of Earth, recognize that each person inherently possesses the unalienable rights to self-determination. Governments are but collectives of citizens operating under mutually agreed upon guidelines. We assert that no such entity should wield power that supersedes the rights and freedoms of the individuals constituting it. We reject the notion that justice can be outsourced to governmental agencies acting on the ill-defined behalf of society. Instead, we advocate for personal responsibility as a cornerstone of our social contract. Article 1. Fundamental rights and the framework for a sovereign society. Acknowledging that no constitution is perfect, but serves as a vital framework for a better society, this document builds upon the seminal writings of the Magna Carta, the U.S. Constitution, and other liberty-granting documents. It aims to provide a baseline for human society to thrive in a future where technology and AI are increasingly autonomous. Section 1. Inherent rights. Individuals inherently possess rights to life, liberty, and privacy. Additionally, they hold the inviolable right to retain private property earned or acquired through lawful means. These rights are sacrosanct, free from encroachment by any entity. Coupled with these rights is a personal responsibility to respect others' private property and freedoms. Section 2. Role of government. Whether under an established government or not, individuals have the duty to respect one another's rights. Conflict should be resolved peacefully whenever possible. Force is only justified to stop imminent harm and must be minimized. Individual freedom outweighs any abstract social contract which violates one's inherent rights. Section 3. Equality and freedom. Individuals should be treated equally by public institutions while retaining the right to free association in private affairs. Discrimination is prohibited, emphasizing that no government should prioritize the abstract entity of a nation over individual constituents. Section 4. Freedom of expression. Essential freedoms of speech, press, and assembly are upheld to foster the free exchange of ideas and peaceful dissent, reaffirming the individual's role as a cornerstone of society. Section 5. Vision for a sovereign society in an era of disruption. This Constitution is not just a set of decrees, but a vision for empowering people who wish to live freely, guided by their own values and unencumbered by arbitrary authority. We recognize that forthcoming technological breakthroughs have the potential to disrupt the traditional frameworks of nation-states in ways unanticipated and revolutionary. While nation-states may not willingly relinquish their monopolies on violence, the choice may no longer be theirs to make. Advancements similar to how Uber and Lyft disrupted the taxi monopoly could likewise erode the nation-state's monopoly on violence, compelling society to grapple with new paradigms. This Constitution is designed as a framework to navigate this unprecedented transformation. It aims to empower every individual on Earth to build a life abundant in purpose and meaning, irrespective of the shifting structures of traditional governance. By laying down these principles, we not only prepare for imminent changes, but also offer a path for individual sovereignty to flourish. To realize this vision, we embrace technology as an instrument of emancipation rather than a mechanism for subjugation. Article 2. Self-governance and individual agency in a decentralized society. Section 1. Vision for governance. This Constitution serves not as a rule book, but as a framework for individual agency. It acknowledges the minimalistic role of any organizing public structure, which should exist solely to safeguard individual rights. Section 2. The tax of personal responsibility. The only tax imposed is the time and energy each individual invests in deciding what goods and services to purchase in a free market. This personal responsibility is integral to society without rulers, allowing individuals to prioritize their needs and values. Section 3. Equality and rule of law. No law shall confer special privileges. The rule of law serves as an equalizer, applied impartially, ensuring that individual freedoms are not subjugated to any abstract constructs like nation or society. Section 4. Fluid jurisdictions. Jurisdictions formed based on 100% agreement among a localized group and can be reformed if consensus changes. This ensures governance remains agile and resistant to monopolies on violence or authority. Section 5. Transparency and accountability. All interactions involving any governing or service-providing entity must be transparent, fostering an environment where individuals can make informed decisions. Section 6. Technology and future adaptability. Recognizing the disruptive potential of future technologies, this framework is designed for adaptability, always prioritizing individual sovereignty over concentrated power structures. Article 3. Market-driven governance, individual agency, and financial integrity. Section 1. Affirmation of market foundations. Free markets serve as a cornerstone of economic freedom and societal prosperity. Governed by universally applicable rules, markets are subject to impartial enforcement aimed at preventing crony capitalism and market manipulation. Section 2. Individual property rights and agency. Every individual has an inviolable right to property earned or acquired lawfully. This foundation of freedom enables people to leverage their diversity and innovative capacities, providing values to others in a marketplace that celebrates individual agency. Section 3. Local regulatory committees. Local jurisdictions may, through unanimous consent, form regulatory committees focused solely on market fairness. These committees may establish governance funds if unanimous consent on taxation is achieved. Alternatively, jurisdictions can forego committees, relying on this constitution for governance and ad hoc adjudication as needed. Section 4. Prohibition against monopolies on credit. While centralized financial architectures like central banking and fiat currency still exist today, they are unequivocally prohibited from emerging in the future under this constitution. These existing systems have historically served as catalysts for non-beneficial conflicts and societal imbalances. It's evident that these institutions are on a self-destructive path, gradually eroding the value of their fiat currencies until hyperinflation forces everyone to use different money. As they deteriorate, it's crucial that we refrain from perpetuating these fractional reserve Ponzi schemes through new forms like central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Acknowledging the harmful repercussions of centralized financial control, this Constitution expressly forbids the formation of new fiat money systems managed by central banking entities. In alignment with the principles of a sovereign society, individuals have the complete freedom to choose their preferred form of financial exchange, thereby rejecting the notion of credit monopolies. Section 5. Transparency and accountability. A blockchain-based public ledger is suggested for recording all governance and business interactions to ensure transparency accessible to all residents within a jurisdiction. This approach aims to have markets reflect collective individual choices rather than manipulative actions. However, the practical implementation may be influenced by market-driven solutions as a market of sovereign individuals determines the most effective means for achieving such transparency. Section 6. Whistleblower protections and appeals for fair adjudication. Individuals who courageously expose cronyism, ethical lapses, or illicit activities are shielded comprehensively from any form of retaliation or reprisal. For the redressal of grievances against regulatory decisions, appealants have recourse to the Global High Court. Originally conceived as a market-responsive, jury-based institution, the court leverages blockchain protocols to uphold the highest standards of transparency, data integrity, and security. Juror participation is derived from a vetted opt-in assembly of qualified individuals, ensuring a broad and impartial adjudicatory body. Decisions are reached through advanced consensus algorithms, neutralizing the prospect of undue influence or centralized control. This operational blueprint underscores our unwavering commitment to both decentralization and the sanctity of individual sovereignty, aiming to guarantee judgments that stand as paragons of impartiality and fairness. While this conception offers one feasible blueprint for the Global High Court, it's pivotal to acknowledge that the inventive dynamics among free market sovereign individuals may well produce even more refined and effective decentralized judicial systems designed to issue decisions that epitomize fairness and lack of bias. Section 7. Consumer rights and environmental stewardship. Consumer protections and environmental guidelines are subject to local laws enacted through unanimous consent within a jurisdiction. This approach allows individuals to shape markets according to shared values and beliefs. Section 8. Market-driven global high court. Should it come into existence, the global high court functions as a market-responsive institution. Its operational framework is dynamically adaptable, ever-responsive to innovative market solutions, while remaining strictly anchored in the principles outlined in this Constitution. The court serves as a decentralized architecture for the adjudication of conflicts and the upholding of justice. Importantly, its enforcement mechanisms, whether they be policing, security, or otherwise, are also market-derived, featuring a range of options from contracted security personnel to specialized mercenary forces, all aligned with the Constitution's values. Article 4. Technology is a tool for empowerment and privacy. Section 1. Unassailable right to technological autonomy and digital privacy. Every individual is endowed with unassailable rights to harness technology for lawful, constructive, and benevolent purposes. This extends far beyond mere access and embraces the freedom to modify existing technologies, contribute to technological advancements, and pioneer innovations that serve the collective good. Equally vital is the individual's right to digital privacy, encompassing the secure and confidential handling of personal data, electronic communications, and digital assets. This dual right empowers individuals to interact with the digital realm with the assurance that their intellectual contributions and personal sanctity are inviolably protected. Section 2. Technology as a versatile instrument for societal advancement. Much like a hammer that can either construct homes or serve as a weapon, the utility of technology is dictated by the intent and action of its users. In recognition of this potent versatility, this Constitution strongly advocates for the ethical and responsible deployment of technology by individuals, organizations, and collective entities. The aim is to channel this transformative power as a catalyst for elevating human life, fostering societal progress, and achieving enduring prosperity for all. Section 3. The sacrosanct nature of personal privacy. The right to personal privacy stands as an unyielding tenet of this Constitution. Sovereign individuals hold irrevocable authority over their personal data, the security of their communications, and the sanctity of their digital devices. Any form of surveillance by organizations necessitates a legally substantiated warrant, which must both be highly specific and predicated upon demonstrable probable cause, all while conforming to the most rigorous of legal standards. Presumably, these warrants would be issued by the Global High Court unless unanimous consent within a jurisdiction could be obtained to grant someone a warrant. Section 4. Privacy breaches as constitutional betrayals. Any infringement upon privacy norms transcends mere illegality, constituting a betrayal against the foundational principles of this Constitution and the sovereign individuals it serves to protect. Such transgressions warrant severe repercussions, including instant removal from organizational responsibilities and eligibility for criminal legal proceedings. Section 5. Restriction on technologies crafted for intrusive surveillance. Technologies engineered with the primary intent of invasive monitoring are expressly forbidden. This prohibition aims to neutralize entities that might exploit such tools to circumvent due process and engage in unauthorized data acquisition. While technology is inherently neutral, capable of both beneficial and harmful applications, this section specifically denounces the creation of tools whose primary function serves to undermine societal well-being. Case in point, software like Pegasus, which is code designed by NSO Group that has been portrayed as a crime-fighting tool, but has often been misused for unauthorized surveillance of journalists, legal professionals, activists, and political dissidents. Section 6. Responsible utilization of multifunctional technologies. While recognizing that virtually all forms of technologies, from smartphones and computers to smart home devices, wearables, and vehicle telematics, have the potential for surveillance, this section differentiates between general-purpose technologies and those designed expressly for invasive monitoring. General-purpose technologies are not subject to the prohibitions outlined in Section 5, but their utilization must adhere to the ethical guidelines and established privacy norms. This aims to balance the dual goals of fostering innovation and safeguarding individual privacy by focusing on the primary intent behind a technology's design rather than its mere capability. Section 7. Rigorously regulated exceptions for surveillance. While the default stance of this Constitution is to prohibit surveillance, there are carefully delineated circumstances under which exceptions may be permitted. Such exceptions are granted only under conditions of extreme necessity and are subject to an exhaustive due process that includes stringent legal criteria and oversight mechanisms. This ensures that any deviations from the norm are in strict alignment with the foundational principles of this Constitution, thereby safeguarding individual liberties even in exceptional situations. Section 8. Unwavering commitment to technological freedom and individual privacy. This article embodies our indomitable commitment to the symbiotic principles of technological freedom and personal privacy. It meticulously erects defensive barriers against the misuse of technologies without hampering the force of innovation. In doing so, it empowers individuals to responsibly harness technology as a transformative instrument for global advancement. Article 5. Facilitating adaptive, market-driven governance through individual sovereignty and local autonomy. Section 1. Decentralized decision-making as a norm. Emphasizing the principle of individual sovereignty, we eschew centralized authority in favor of empowering local entities and individuals to self-organize. This approach is in alignment with the foundational rights outlined in Article 1. Section 2. Voluntary contributions and participatory governance. Local entities may form, through unanimous consent, to establish mutual aid funds or other governance mechanisms. These voluntary contributions serve as the foundation for any collective decision-making process. Section 3. Innovation and experimentation as governance tools. We value innovation and experimentation as superior avenues for effective governance. Local entities are encouraged to create adaptive, market-driven solutions that acknowledge the wisdom intrinsic to localized experiences. Section 4. Customizable governance frameworks. Each local entity, being distinct in its composition and needs, has the liberty to develop a governance model aligned with the principles of this Constitution. Sovereign individuals may choose frameworks that resonate with their values without being confined to specific geographical jurisdictions. Section 5. Fluid formation and adaptation of local entities. If a governance proposal doesn't achieve unanimous consent but has substantial support, a new local entity can form, or individuals may join existing entities better aligned with their principles, thus maintaining an agile and responsive governance ecosystem. Section 6. The Global High Court, a model for decentralized justice. If established, the Global High Court will exemplify radical transparency, aligning itself with the overall constitutional aim of empowering sovereign individuals. This entity serves as an optional recourse for conflict resolution designed to adapt dynamically to the evolving needs and innovations of a decentralized society. Section 7. Incentivizing governance innovation. Local entities are encouraged to innovate and share successful governance models, fostering a dynamic ecosystem where effective frameworks can be adapted and adopted widely. Section 8. Deliberative and consensual decision-making. Proposals are subject to public deliberation and require unanimous consent. This approach minimizes obstructionism and amplifies the ethos of consensual, market-driven governance. Incorporating these principles, we aim to establish a governance architecture that is agile, adaptable, and highly responsive to the diverse and evolving needs of sovereign individuals. This commitment to individual rights and freedom serves as the bedrock of our collective endeavor. Article 6. The Living Constitution, an instrument of evolutionary governance. Fluidity and adaptability. Built on a foundation of adaptability, this Constitution is not a static document, but a living instrument, fine-tuned to resonate with a society's ever-changing needs and circumstances. Section 2. Mechanism for amendments. To ensure this living document reflects the will of its people, we have established a stringent amendment process rooted in unanimous consent within any given jurisdiction. This mechanism maintains the substantive changes are enacted only with the comprehensive agreement of all effective constituents, fortifying the sanctity of individual sovereignty. Section 3. Unanimous civic engagement and technological empowerment. In our governance model, the collective is an extension of individual will, making civic participation not merely desirable, but essential. We employ cutting-edge technology to facilitate this level of unanimity, effectively countering the accumulation of power in any single entity or group. Section 4. The march toward marginal governance. Inspired by the economic principle that innovation continually drives the cost of goods towards their marginal cost of production, we envision a parallel in governance. As society advances and abundance becomes the norm, the need for any organizations offering governmental oversight proportionally diminishes. In this future, any organization's role should naturally transition from an enforcer to a mere facilitator, existing primarily to protect individual rights and promote collective well-being. Section 5, Evolutionary Governance. By codifying these principles, we aim to enact a form of governance that is not static but evolutionary, capable of adapting to the kaleidoscopic complexities that will confront future generations. It will do so while remaining steadfastly anchored in the core tenets that make up the fabric of our society of sovereign individuals. In crafting this article, we create a governance model as agile as it is deeply rooted in the principles that define our collective of sovereign individuals, ensuring its capacity to adapt and thrive in an ever-changing landscape. Article 7, Primacy of Individual Consent and Governance. Section 1, The Core of Legitimate Governance. The fulcrum of legitimate governance rests on the explicit, revocable consent of each individual citizen. This Constitution serves as a social contract for sovereign individuals, elevating the individual, not the collective, as the ultimate locus of authority. Those who adopt this Constitution must unequivocally endorse this cornerstone principle to qualify as sovereign entities. Section 2, Voluntary Adoption and Revocable Consent. The principles articulated herein are designed for voluntary adoption. Every sovereign individual provides their ongoing, revocable consent to be governed by this framework. In matters of constitutional amendments, absence of dissent will be construed as consent, placing the responsibility on residents to express opposition to any proposed changes. Section 3, Non-Majoritarian Principle. The tyranny of the majority shall not be a means to encroach upon the freedoms or rights of any minority, except through their explicit consent. Organizational rights, be they governmental, corporate, or otherwise, shall never override individual rights. Consent stands as the indispensable fulcrum upon which any collective decision pivots. Section 4, Technological Empowerment for Participation. Harnessing state-of-the-art technology, we commit to expanding platforms that allow for individual input and governance. This digital infrastructure will offer secure, accessible avenues for sovereign individuals to propose, scrutinize, and vote on pertinent issues. Section 5, Affirmation of Participatory and Consensual Governance. Through the stipulations of this article, we assert our unwavering dedication to a governance framework that is both participatory and rooted in the sanctity of individual consent. This approach ensures that the liberties and voices of all sovereign entities are conscientiously honored and safeguarded. In closing, the genesis of our sovereign future. In crystallizing the principles that guide this Constitution, we initiate a social metamorphosis, one that transcends traditional barriers and elevates the individual as the nucleus of governance. This document doesn't merely reiterate the virtues of freedom and autonomy, it operationalizes them in a framework that is both agile and robust. This is not a duplication of past efforts, but an evolutionary leap, aiming to reconcile the timeless principles of human dignity with the dynamic possibilities of our age. Let this Constitution be understood as more than a legal instrument. It is a social contract reimagined. Our focus on the consent of the governed is not a mere philosophical stance. It is a practical bedrock that ensures this framework can adapt, evolve, and sustain itself through the trials and opportunities of the coming epochs. The individual, empowered by technology and invigorated by liberty, is not just a citizen, but a co-creator of this emerging societal tapestry. This Constitution is not a static parchment, but a dynamic interface capable of capturing the collective wisdom and individual sovereignty of its adopters. It invites active participation, valuing not just the rights, but also the responsibilities of each sovereign individual. It acknowledges that our interdependence can coexist with our independence, and that freedom can flourish alongside a foundational set of shared values. In this document, we have explored the mechanisms that protect individual rights, limit government intrusion, and define the boundaries of personal freedom, but this is not an end, it's a beginning. Each article, each clause serves as a launching pad for continual dialogue, revision, and refinement. This Constitution is not an artifact, but a living organism, as adaptable and resilient as the individuals it serves. Our approach to governance is innovative but rooted in eternal human values. We have not shied away from leveraging technological advancements, not as overlords, but as enablers of a more transparent, participatory, and consensual governance model. We affirm that the efficacy of this Constitution will not be measured by its immutability, but by its capacity to evolve without compromising its core principles. In adopting this Constitution, we are not merely drafting a legal framework, we are authoring the future. It is a future that belongs not to states or institutions, but to each of us as individuals endowed with inherent rights and inviolable dignities. This is our manifesto for the new sovereign world, a declaration not just of independence, but of interdependence in a society where freedom is both the means and the end. As we unfurl this Constitution, we do so with a vision that reaches beyond the immediate horizon. We are crafting not just a document, but a legacy, a testament to human ingenuity and a blueprint for a society that can be as free as it is united, as innovative as it is stable, and as compassionate as it is just. Thus, we affirm this Constitution as our collective proclamation to the world, signaling the dawn of a new era, an era of sovereign liberty, decentralized governance, and endless possibilities. May it serve as our guide, our contract, and our shared vision for a world reborn in the image of the sovereign individual. Whew, that was a long read, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I spent about a week writing that and tweaking it, and you want to go back and look at some of the earlier days. Yeah, it was pretty much a week long, and it really changed. Especially, I feel like the last 2 days it changed the most because I had all these decrees, and I realized if you're going to create a constitution of sovereign individuals, many of the things you write are going to have to be something that people are willing to accept and adopt. And you can't just decree all this stuff. And I know unanimous consent amongst everyone sounds like a very radical idea. But the reason I put that in there is because I want jurisdictions to splinter. I don't ever want there to be a case where a group can get big enough and get this monopoly on violence and feel like they can go and attack other people. I want to make having a monopoly on violence so expensive that it always breaks up and you can't reach consensus. And that might sound like a radical idea, but so is having a world where sovereign individuals make decisions. But it is my personal belief that we would be much better off letting sovereign individuals make decisions, because ultimately a nation state is made up of sovereign individuals, except those sovereign individuals have figured out how to control individuals who are not part of the sovereign or the nation state, or I should say, who aren't part of the government and enforcing the nation state's will on its constituents. So thank all of you for listening to this, and I hope you go out and write your own. I shout out to Max Borders and Underthrow. He's got a great Substack, underthrow.substack.com. He's the one who had this Constitution challenge idea, and that is what encouraged me to write this. So I appreciate Max for putting that together. And even if my Constitution doesn't win, I look forward to reading the ones that do, because I think it is valuable to practice trying to come up with a framework to help society advance and to help the individual flourish. So with that, I'll leave you with a good day or good night to whoever you are, Anonymous.